CCM oye!
Contrary to rumors circulating, no elections are happening in Tanzania tomorrow.
The Tanzanian President Dr Samia Suluhu Hassan has hit out at her critics who have been claiming that she is running against a weak opposition that is as good as non-existent, following her suppression of dissidents like the imprisonment and disqualification of her main rivals in the run-up to the October 29, 2025 presidential election. President Saluhu, who seems to have ignored anti-election sentiments from foreign activists like Amnesty International and groups led by the veteran Kenyan lawyer Martha Karua, has stressed that there is nothing like a weak opposition, and that whatever the opposition there is in this election, it should be treated by her supporters as an equally worthy opposition. Speaking from Mwanza city that is located on the shores of Lake Victoria as she closed her campaigns on the eve of the elections on Tuesday, October 28, 2025, President Saluhu urged her supporters to come out in large numbers and vote for her second term, together with other aspirants running for various seats on her CCM party tickets. That Tanzanian security agencies have assured the public of adequate security during and after the election process, and therefore the citizens should ignore those complaining on various social media platforms on the internet, especially on X, and turn out to cast their votes in large numbers, because it is only through voting that they will be able to effect the changes in leadership that they would wish to see in their country. Tanzania hooray! CCM hooray! Work and dignity. Comrade CCM members and fellow citizens, before I finish, let me use this opportunity to urge you to turn up in large numbers tomorrow to cast your votes. It is not enough just to attend these political rallies. In our rallies, thanks to God, we were in multitudes. So let us now translate those multitudes into votes in ballot boxes. It is not good to remain discussing and arguing on the internet. Those who determine the direction of our country are those who vote, and it is not those who complain. Blames, complaints and insults don't elect or change leaders. It is only votes that choose or reject incompetent leaders. Let us go in our big numbers and cast our votes. The government has officially announced date 29th, that is tomorrow, as a public holiday so as to give way for elections to be conducted without interruptions. This is a right that you only get once in every 5 years, so use it so that it may not elude you. All security agencies of this country have assured us of security throughout the election and after the election. Therefore, let us turn up in large numbers and sensitize each other to go and cast our votes. Additionally, I commend all political parties for running mature campaigns and competing on ideas. We have competed on expressing ourselves, on how we will implement our manifestos to the citizens should they elect us, and now it is time to compete in ballot boxes. I urge political parties to leave it to the citizens and let them make their choices. My fellow Tanzanian comrades, voting is your right so that you may put in power the leaders that you believe will work well for you after electing them. I urge you fellow Tanzanians to turn up in large numbers and vote so that we may strengthen our democracy. Let me also use this opportunity to remind you, my fellow CCM comrades and the supporters of our Party of Revolution, that our target is to win this election. And again with a decent victory. There is no weak or easy opposition. Let us go with all our might. Let us not say that the current opposition is weak or easy. No, let us go with all our might and elect aspirants of the Party of Revolution. Let us go and elect work and dignity. Let us go and elect CCM.
CCM oye! Kazi na utu! Mwanza oye! tunafanyaje? 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 Tunatiki, tunatiki, tunatiki na tunatikisa nchi. Si ndio wana CCM? CCM oye!
It should be noted that President Saluhu notably imprisoned the Chadema party leader Tundu Lissu at the country's maximum prison over treason charges for calling for reforms of the Independent National Electoral Commission prior to the election, and he was consequently disqualified from the race, only to be released about 5 days to the election. This, together with other forms of repression that her administration is alleged to have overseen in the run-up to the election, has elicited criticism from local and foreign activists, who even on the eve of the election were calling for Tanzanian citizens to shun the election, with claims that it is a sham election.
Fellow East Africans, we stand here as East African citizens, mandated by the fact that Jumuiya ni yetu. We continue to witness human rights violations and the degradation of democracy across the region. And as citizens of Jumuiya, we stand as one. We stand here grounded in our East African identity as members of the East African community. Borders will not limit our brotherhood and sisterhood. The tragic occurrences we are witnessing in Tanzania go against the very principles that underpin the East African community. We stand here to state that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Contrary to rumors circulating, no elections are happening in Tanzania tomorrow. As all international media companies have been barred from entering Tanzania and many local licenses have been withdrawn, we raise our voices on behalf of Jumuiya, our Tanzanian comrades, and the people of East Africa. Tanzanians have spoken by stating, on our part, we haven't even described it as an election. As for an election to be free and fair, there must be at least a competitive election. This is not an election, ni maigizo or drama. Attributed to JK, a citizen of Tanzania. There are no free and fair elections happening in Tanzania. President Samia Suluhu is preparing for her coronation, as her only opposition is her very own shadow. All her main opposition candidates have either been detained or barred from participating by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The country has been reeling over a silent epidemic of enforced disappearances of dissenting voices, regular abductions, arbitrary detention, torture, rape, extrajudicial killings, and judicial harassments. These atrocities and crimes against humanity are primarily against perceived opponents of the current regime and many people who rally against electoral malpractice.
The violations have particularly targeted the Chadema party, the leading opposition party in Tanzania, as well as extending to religious institutions, leaders, activists, influencers, and vocal citizens of all backgrounds. There have been over 250 reported and documented cases of enforced disappearances, with the majority of the victims never to be seen again or their lifeless bodies found months later. Attached, we are providing a report of all of those instances, both available in Swahili and in English. Additionally, Tanzania has scaled its police force in what appears to be a preparation for a full-out war against its citizens, rather than an election. Over the past 3 weeks alone, more than 55 people have been forcibly disappeared, tortured, murdered, and held incommunicado. According to a recent report by Amnesty International, repression in Tanzania has intensified. Amnesty has referred to Tanzania's situation under Saluhu and the forthcoming elections as unopposed, unchecked, and unjust. The report is titled Wave of Terror Sweeps Across Tanzania and is also linked within for further reference. There was a violent arrest of Chadema's party leader, Tundu Lissu, and main competitor to Saluhu, and an arraignment over frivolous treason charges for merely demanding reforms before elections. His arrest and trumped-up charges and the regime's overreach marked a further escalation of civil liberties. His party, Chadema, the main opposition party in Tanzania, was subsequently banned from participating in the election for demanding changes in the electoral code and was further prohibited from conducting any political activity. Officials of Chadema and civilians alike have been arrested arbitrarily, detained, assaulted, generally harassed, and barred from attending the trial of Tundu Lissu, which by Tanzanian law is a public trial. Shaban Moyo, Felicitas Festo, Dr. Fred Chacha Hatari, among others, share their direct experiences with photo evidence as to the torture they endured in the hands of the Tanzanian authorities. This is a direct statement, an account of one abduction of Shaban Moyo Kirita. On April 24th at around 9 a.m., it was the day of Honorable Tundu Lissu's court hearing. While I was near the magistrate's court, I was suddenly apprehended by 8 police officers whose names I didn't know. After arresting me, they seized my phone and put me into a police vehicle that was parked near the Serena Hotel. They later took me to the grounds at Gymkhana, where I found another vehicle, a Toyota Noah. I was taken out of the first car and put into the Noah, where I found 6 other people whose faces were covered. Immediately, they also covered my face so I couldn't see what was happening. We then started a 3-hour journey until we arrived at a house whose location I still do not know. Once there, they handcuffed both my hands and feet, then began beating me severely, especially around the buttocks and legs for an extended period. Later, they stripped me naked, hung me upside down, head down, feet up, and continued beating me. They kept saying things like, "Why are you insulting President Samia's government? Why are you spreading inciting statements? Why are you opposing the government?" Then they told me, "Today, we're going to kill you and dump you in the wilderness." At around 11 p.m., they took me and threw me into the sea at Cocoa Beach in Oyster Bay, deep into the ocean waters. Fortunately, Good Samaritans found me, rescued me, and took me to the Chadema headquarters. Yours, Shaban Moyo.
Tunapigania Afrika Mashariki, tunapigania uhuru ya wanajumuiya na tunapigania haki ya wananchi wa Tanzania na Afrika Mashariki, Afrika nzima. We all remember that a team of 6 observers from Kenya was prevented from entering Tanzania while on a mission to observe the sham Lissu trial. They were temporarily detained and deported back to Nairobi without any valid reason, contrary to the East African Treaty. 2 of the observers, Boniface Mwangi of Kenya and Agatha Chihure of Uganda, were violently abducted, arbitrarily detained, tortured, raped, and subjected to other forms of cruel, inhuman, and degrading treatment while in Tanzanian custody. Still, John Heche, Chadema's national vice chairperson, was denied entry into Kenya to attend Raila Odinga's funeral, with his passport confiscated by authorities while still on the outside the High Court of Tanzania, in blatant disregard of the laws governing arrests. These actions reflect a pattern of lawlessness and political persecution carried out with a complete impunity. Unofficial and unlawful travel restrictions have been imposed on almost every Chadema leader and any government critic. Targeting of religious institutions and leaders. Repression has also been extended to religious institutions and leaders speaking out against human rights abuses. And on June 2nd of this year, the Suluhu regime deregistered the Ufufuo na Uzima, the Glory of Christ Church in Tanzania, led by outspoken Bishop Dr. Josephat Mwajima. who is well known for his outspoken criticism of bad governance and human rights abuses in Tanzania, as well as his calls for accountability. The regime falsely and maliciously accused the church of violating the Societies Act. The church was deregistered, that is the glory of Christ, a few days after calling for an end to abductions and an end to enforced disappearances in Tanzania. The deregistration has restricted the freedom of worship of the thousands of Ufufunuo na Uzima congregants, and Bishop Dr. Benson Bagonza of the Evangelical Lutheran Church in Tanzania, Karagwe Diocese, has also publicly stated that he fears for his life after receiving credible threats from individuals known as wasiojulikana, a term meaning unknown assailants or people who are unknown, used to refer to unknown political abductors and enforcers, mainly working for at the behest of the regime.